So here we have my mini ITX build in the Phanteks Evolv Shift XT. If you guys want to see the full build video, make sure to click the link in the description below. But we have packed this mini PC with a whole bunch of super high performance parts, which has also created some bottlenecking issues when it comes to the cooling. And that is a common issue with many mini ITX builds. There is just simply not enough airflow to go through to cool the PC down. But we have made some major upgrades to improve the cooling performance of this build, allowing it to run much more efficiently and cooler. First off, we're going to run a basic benchmark using the stock configuration. So we're using GTA 5 here, using their benchmark features. And as you can see, this thing is running quite steamy. The CPU is sitting around 80 to 90 degrees Celsius, running at 13% with a whopping wattage of 145 watts. And the GPU, surprisingly, is sitting around 45 degrees Celsius, but is only utilizing 50% of usage, which seems to be limited due to thermal throttling. The RAM is sitting around 18 gigabytes of usage, which is pretty decent. Now it's time to take apart the entire PC to see if we can change out some parts to improve the overall performance. First things first, we are changing out the power supply. So what we had in here originally is a Corsair SF1000L. This is an 80 plus gold certified power supply, which for the most part is pretty solid, but the main issue is that it is an SFX-L, so it's a little bit larger, not a true SFX, which creates some clearance issues when it comes to the cable management and even blocking airflow. We swapped it out for a Thermaltake Toughpower SFX power supply, and it is a true SFX power supply, so it's significantly smaller as you can see, and it is a platinum power supply this time, so it's going to be much more efficient than the gold, allowing it to run much cooler without pulling so much energy. This also clears up some physical space for cables to be tucked away, allowing for that better airflow. Next up, we're going to be installing the Thermalright HR10. This is an active SSD cooler rather than the stock passive one. This cooler has an actual fan in here spinning around to push air through some heat sinks, which should allow better cooling performance for the SSD itself. Since we are running a very high performance Gen 5 PCIe M.2 SSD, it does get quite hot, and as you can see, it even deteriorated the OEM heat pads on here, even though we only ran this PC for about a month. And the way it's powered is just through a simple fan connector, and I did have to use a Y splitter just because we didn't have enough ports on the motherboard. Next up, we are removing the AIO pump off of the CPU, and we're going to be installing the Thermalright contact frame for the Intel LGA 1700 socket. This is going to allow for a better surface area for better connection for the AIO pump, and we're going to be pairing that with the KOLD-01 high performance thermal paste. It's a silicone based compound claiming to be better than Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut, as well as the Thermalright TF7. What's nice with this kit is that it includes some cleaning wipes to clean off the old thermal paste, as well as a spatula to give you a clean application. Last but not least, we had to change out the fans on the AIO. So the stock MSI 120mm fans were just very basic and not powerful enough. And instead, we're going to be installing the Phanteks T30, which is a super high performance fan that offers silencing performance just like the Noctua fans. And what's unique about this fan is that it is 30mm thick, about 5mm thicker than traditional fans, hence why the name is called T30. It's going to allow for a much higher airflow as well as remaining super silent. After installing all of these new parts into the PC, we have seen some major changes. Running the same GTA 5 benchmark, as you can see, the CPU temps have dropped significantly. The CPU is now hitting 50 to 60 degrees Celsius on load and only using 10% of usage, which is significantly less than the previous 13%, and a wattage of only 100 watts. The GPU remains similar to around 45 degrees with a higher usage of 96%. The RAM usage has even dropped down to 14 gigabytes rather than the 18 gigabytes that we saw earlier. And the craziest part of all is that I actually bumped up the graphics settings for this test to Ultra, much more intense than the stock run. And even though we are running a much more intensive test this time around, the temperatures are significantly cooler than the stock run. Now for both of these tests, we have not done any sort of software optimizations, no overclocking, no undervolting. This is just all straight out of the box with the OEM fan curves. Overall, we have seen some major improvements just by changing out some parts, and this allows us to have a much better baseline to start tuning things around and to get better performance and efficiency for the future. And with these changes, as I'm using my PC, using intensive apps like editing and gaming, and even in my day-to-day, I did notice that the PC has been running much more quiet. It practically is silent sitting on my desk, even though it's supplying such crazy performance. If you guys want to check out the products that I've used in this video today, there will be a link in the description featuring every single component that I've used. And overall, I'm just really glad to see the overall gains that we were able to get just by small little changes. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like and a comment below. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well as turning on the post notifications. With that being said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.